What is up, everyone? Scott Bryant coming to you with the Dreamer Cipher. Patrick was busy and just got caught up with some stuff, so coming on a little bit later, just because it is the aspect of what we do on a Wednesday night, and the beauty of being in a partnership with a business partner is being able to cover for each other and still accomplish the different things that we normally accomplish anyways. And so just coming on and having just a small conversation here. It's interesting because there was a book that I read, almost done with it. Kobe Bryant had the idea for the structure of the book. And it's interesting when you look at just the thought process, just the mind of Kobe Bryant and the different things that he spoke on, but it's also the foundational piece in regards to the coaches, the individuals that he had within his life that really made an impact on how he looked at the game, how he looked at life, and just his life experience too. Because if you ever when saw how he grew up, it was one of those things of just the experiences that he had growing up and just living a very cultured life by being in different parts of the world and whatnot. So it's a very powerful thing. But got to give a shout out to our sponsor, being Tavalla's Food for Thought. And Jasper gave us some information. I've shared this before, and I think we've hit on it last week. I don't remember exactly, but this is in regards to the creative collaboration group that Jasper has created. And so this is something that she's very big on letting people know about it. So next Thursday, we will be live streaming, and we have 24 business owners that we will be live streaming with different collaborators to showcase who they are, to showcase their story, and just let people know and whatnot. And so, what Jasper gave us here, this is from her verbiage here. The value is to create a space without negative ramifications where people can share their voice perspective on what their life has looked like this last year, from pandemic to shutdowns to kids in hybrid schooling, how artists have been impacted, travel restrictions, whatever that looked like for you. The idea is to create a collaborative voice regardless of an individual or business's political background. Let there be a place of unity and curb isolation. And so, one of those things that I look at, the aspect of, man, just a lot of the isolation that's taken place for us as humans, as just individuals. Humans are social creatures, and so we're meant to be around each other. We really thrive off of being around others and getting the energy and the perspective of what people look at, how they see life, and just building those relationships. And you'll have individuals that, yes, we have extroverts, we have introverts. Sometimes you can't. It's their lens. But I've heard it before that sometimes when you use a characteristic or you use something that you can use as a crutch, you kind of are being selfish. What's up, Greg? Scooter Magooter. So that was a nickname that I had growing up in high school from a good friend. So told 3G about it. I almost called you Triple G. But yeah, so yeah, nothing much, Greg. Just coming on and sharing some different information, different perspectives here in regards to things that can impact your life with relationships, businesses, and so just like the Dreamer Cipher, it's just having these different conversations and whatnot. But it's one of those aspects that we're social creatures, but it's going into the part that a lot of people are like, well, I'm an introvert and I don't like to be around people. But the thing that's unique when you look at that, and I've heard it said before that by leaning on this crutch and not expanding, you're being a selfish person. And so hearing that, you may get mad at me. I'm just letting you know what I've heard. But honestly, if you think about it, if you are constantly saying I'm an introvert, really don't like to be around people, you have talents and skills that people need. You have been given different skill sets, different tools that could be beneficial to somebody else, that could impact the life of somebody else, and you just never know. And so it's one of those things that you just kind of got to get out of your way and show up and just be there for people and whatnot. But sometimes we let the ego get in our own way, and it's tough. And so, with the creative collaborations that Jasper created, I've shared, and you can go check my Facebook page in regards with the website, the Facebook group that you can join. It's a public group, so there's no restrictions, nothing of that. You can come and join, but ultimately, to allow people to share their story and their message that they have is meaningful because that allows people to connect with them based on the story that they're sharing and their experience. And if people don't know that and you don't share it, how do you expect people to be able to connect with you on a deeper level? And so it's yeah, it's just one of those things. And oh man, for coming on, thinking about it and whatnot, with and I don't watch the news. I try to stay away from the news, but with everything that took place today, for me, it was constantly hearing it, seeing on Facebook, and it comes down to the fact that we look at it and it's a lack of respect. We People really lack the respect for other people. And so it's one of those things. This is why I do not like seeing the news, do not like hearing the news, because it is one of those things that can be very draining, can suck your energy. And so that's one of those things that for me, especially, um, I don't know. It was one of those things that I was thinking, and talking it's an outlet for me. So a little bit of the lives and whatnot really are a way for me just to talk and get things out and just share a message in the story. But yeah, it's just I look at it and it's like, man, people have the basic premises of respect is really missing. A lot of people don't understand the concept. I don't know. And then looking at what took place, it's like, well, I didn't get my way, so I'm gonna end up going and causing damage and doing craziness and all that. And I know there's a lot that goes into this, but it's like you let's look at this and really think about what impact this can have on kids, on other individuals and whatnot. And so it's just, man, we got to get back. People have to understand the basic premises of respect and giving respect to others. It's just I don't know, basic human right with respecting each other. And I know you'll have people that will argue, well, um, if they don't respect me, I'm not going to respect them. But man, if you're thinking about that and you're in that mindset of, well, if they don't show me respect, I'm not going to show them respect. You're going to get to the point where, because you're thinking that, that's what you're going to find, that's what you're going to attract, and you're just going to find people that are very upset, angry, don't want to show you respect because of what you're putting out, the thought process, the energy and whatnot. And that's where it comes down to the internal work. It comes down to the our working on the inside, working on our mindset, and just being mindful about working on us as an individual. You doing the work on yourself and whatnot. So that helps a little bit, but it's yeah, like I told you, it's I don't know, but talking a little bit does help out and whatnot. But there's somebody that I follow, Trent Shelton. He wrote a book, The Greatest You. So it's another book I highly recommend getting. And part of his text community, he had sent a text saying 3 mistakes you shouldn't repeat in 2021. And one of the things that really sticks out here with a mistake that you don't want to end up repeating again this year. He said, "Don't wait more than a day to take a small action. To take a small action on your dreams, because the more time you let pass, the more time you're like, well, I'll get to it later. It's going to be harder to take that necessary step to get to that dream, to get to that level that you'd like to get. And I know it's not easy. Chasing dreams, building your passion is not. It's easy, but it can be uh, some challenges that pop up because you may have this dream in life that's going to test you, and so these are going to come up and show up and test you and see where you're at, and really if you're truly about what you say. And so the more time you wait to go chase after it, the tougher it's going to be to get the motivation to really go do what you'd like to do. And so it's just, man, this year take the action. Don't hold back. Don't sit back. Don't say I'll wait till another day. Take a small step. Figure whatever that can be. Um, Probably the biggest one that you can do is working on yourself. For me, I look at it. That's the basic foundation that you should be focusing on is working on yourself. And then as you're doing that, then take other steps. Go create those relationships. Go create those connections with other people, and build those relationships with others. But when it comes to Kobe Bryant, just his ideas, his thoughts, just how he spoke and whatnot, very powerful. And so this was a book, and he actually had a hand in another book. And let's see here, this was created by Kobe Bryant, so he had another book that he ended up creating too. But this one is the Wizard series, training camp. So this is a fiction book, a little bit of magic. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, a little bit of that in here, along with sports. So it's a combination of Harry Potter playing basketball is how I look at it and whatnot. So just some of the things that really stick out, and some things to consider and look at it and see if you've got to take a different perspective or a different look at it. So the shout out that Kobe Bryant had put at the beginning of the book, he said, "To my Wizards, Bill Russell, Tex Winter, Phil Jackson, and Greg Downer, who dedicated their time to teaching athletes that magic comes from within." And so, right there, that magic comes from within. So, with our creation of our thoughts, attracting the future that we want, future visualization, that can be magic. And so, people will be like, man, that's a crazy term. Some people have a negative connotation when it comes to the idea of magic. So it's just understanding that it's an inside thing. And like you said, it comes from within you as an individual. So it's goes back to it's an inside job. Learning it just takes a little imagination. So learning how to create that, how to bring to fruition your ideas, how to build that idea that you have, it's a little imagination. And so a little imagination is necessary, but how many of us go to the point to have the imagination? How many of us are using that imagination piece that we had as a kid? And if you look at a kid just to see some, I would say, some off the wall ideas that they have, some of the thoughts, some of the stories that they tell you, as adults we look and we're like, man, that's so off the wall. But you know what, if you could tap into that and get back to that as an adult, become a little kid again, and just think about the imagination that you had as a kid. What did you dream about? What limitless aspects did you have as a kid that you knew you could go accomplish? There was nothing that was going to hold you back. But now look at it as being an adult. How many of you are holding yourself back by your limiting beliefs, by the stories that you've been told, by the stories that you tell yourself? And it's one of those things that I've talked about. You don't want to get to your deathbed and have regrets of stuff that you didn't do because of XYZ. A lot of times it's you getting in your own way. Your ego gets in the way, and these stories, these negative beliefs, these limiting beliefs that you have or has been instilled in you through your experiences and what people have told you. Do you really want to get to your deathbed and have that aspect of, man, I wish I would have done that, but I didn't do it because of I was scared. I didn't do it because that voice in my head said I want to be able to do it. And that's one thing when you look at it, it's the power of having a tribe, the power of having your mastermind group, the power of having that support group that sees the potential in you and will help you extract that, and they'll extract it out of you before you do it because they believe in you. And so, what would you like to do? What would you like to create with your imagination? And whatever that is, go do it. Don't hold back. The beautiful thing is it's your imagination. So go crazy. Have just these things that you'll be like, there's no way. But it's your imagination. Go use it. Go build. Go do whatever. And the only way that you're going to limit your imagination is yourself. You are the only one that will limit your imagination. So, what do you want to do? What can you do? What is your mind showing you? What can you do in your mind that you can bring out to the forefront and have it come into existence? Starting here with your thoughts, starting with your mindset. And so that was the first thing there. The next one, and so this goes into a little bit of the coaching piece. Give your fear a face, or you will see it everywhere. And so I look at this because when I look at it, going through the coaching piece and working with individuals, you have the aspect of either focusing and being in your emotional part of your brain or being in your logical part of your brain. And so, if you've ever dealt with any individuals that's in their emotional brain, it's so hard to get the individual to relax. It's hard for them to step back and really see the bigger picture, instead of having this tunnel vision on one thing, whatever it is. And so, being in your emotional brain, part of your brain doesn't do anything for you. That really can screw you up and make things very difficult, more difficult than what you want. So you want to get to your logical brain. And when I read this, when it said, "Give your fear a face, or you will see it everywhere." So there's a technique. It's called gremlin technique. And so when you get into your emotional brain, when you get there, you've got to extract that part out of you, go from external or go from internal and have it external. And so you're trying to get away from your emotional brain and function in your logical brain. And so when you are at that point, if something's stressing you out, the one that I know is Noelle Cordeau had a client that she was working with, and she said her face that she created, because it's the visual piece. And so, like here, it said, "Give your fear a face." So the client had it imagined the face that she saw as an orangutan, and I believe she gave the orangutan the name Fred. And so, by being able to go from that emotional brain to the internal piece and extracting it to have that external, and knowing that it's Fred's being an asshole or however it's working. So if you're stressing out and whatnot, extract that and have that external there and look and say, "Fred, quit being an asshole," or whatever it is. But this is the story, this example that I was given. But that's one of those things that it's coming into using your imagination, being creative, and getting away from your emotional brain to get in your logical part of your brain, to be able to have those clear, focused thoughts and really get through whatever you're doing. So it's the same thing here. If you don't give your fear a face, you're going to see it everywhere. And so it's going from that emotional part to the logical part of your brain. And it's funny when I look at this and through different things that I've gone through, what I'm learning, just seeing the correlation, it makes it stick a little bit differently. Let's see here. You are stardust and light. If they cannot see that, then you have chosen to hide it. I look at this that if you're hiding your true self, you're showing up as your false self, you're showing up as your pseudo self, and you don't let people truly get to know who you are, and they can't see who you are. And so you've got that shine that needs to come out. People need to experience it and whatnot. And so you show up as your true solid self. Don't show up as your pseudo self. But it goes back to this point of the fear of judgment, the fear of what other people are going to think. And so now you're going to the point where you got to take the spotlight off of yourself and you've got to put it on other people. And so if you're at the point you're like, well, what are they going to think about me? Maybe you have an accent. This one was a unique thing. I went out on a date one time with a lady that's from the South. She was from Georgia, I believe, and she had brought up, she's like, "Do you think my accent's funny?" I was like, "No." I was like, "You're a grown adult. Why are you asking this?" And she's like, "Well, people at work make fun of me for it." And I was like, "Okay." So it goes into this part where maybe you have an accent, and I don't know, maybe you've been made fun of it before, but because of that, you end up holding back. You show up as your fake self, your pseudo self, and you miss out on the opportunity to go and impact a life because you're scared and you've let that experience jade everything else. And so you got to remember every experience is different. And so because this experience took place, maybe there's similarities in the new experience that you're having, but that is a completely different experience than this one here. And so you can't let this situation dictate what happens over here. Because if you do that, imagine just the growth of what that can do. This is a weed that you're potentially planting other seeds of weeds, and then you're going to end up having this huge net of collaboration net of not a good thing. And so you're going to miss out on an opportunity here. So you've got to, sometimes people be like, this is not easy. This is not easy to do because we are trying to barricade ourselves. We're trying to protect ourselves because we've been judged. But you just got to get out of your own way. You got to punch the ego in the face and tell it to sit down and show up and be true to yourself. That's not easy because maybe you're one of those individuals that wants to make everybody happy. You want to appease everybody. You're driven by the validation of everybody, but that's not a good thing because you're not everybody's cup of tea. um, you're not going to make everybody happy. So you've got to show up as your true self and do what's true to you as an individual. You can't do what's true to somebody else. It's got to be true to you as an individual. Let's see. A person is the same as a tree. Without a strong foundation, they cannot grow. And that's funny that they talk about how a person is the same as a tree. Because I heard a statistic that each of us as humans, we have an 11% DNA match with trees. And so reading that first part of this quote here makes me laugh because it was talking about a person is the same as a tree. Without a strong foundation, they cannot grow. And so the thing is, you've got to create a foundation. For me, what's really helped develop my foundation and help me to have that strong foundation is getting into the world of personal development, working on myself. I had seen a video with Grant Cardone. I know some people don't like Grant Cardone for whatever reason. You may not resonate with him, which is cool. But somebody was asking him a question. They're like, if I have, I think he said if somebody had $100,000, what would he was asking Grant? What would you advise them to invest in? And Grant said before they go and invest in anything, he's like they need to invest in themselves. And so that's the power of personal development is you've got to invest in yourself. But it comes back to the fact of who are you surrounding yourself with? Who's in your social circle? Who are you allowing to have written in your head? And you've got to be very careful about who is taking up space in your head, who has access to your mind rent free, because that's not a good thing. The man, I think it's the sequoia trees in California. It's a powerful illustration because the sequoia trees, their root system is not very deep. I believe it only goes like 5 feet down into the ground. But what it does though is it spider webs out very wide. So it's not very deep, but it's wide. And what it does is it will actually intertangle the root system with other sequoia trees, and so they start building those strong bonds. And I look at that as that is the power of the your network. That's the power of the people that you surround yourself with, because those individuals can help you in regards to creating that foundation. But it comes back to the fact that you've got to do the work. You have to do the work yourself. Nobody else can do the work for you. You have to want that desire. You want that change to take place. So you got to do the work. But the beautiful thing about having those individuals that are around you that can help lift you up during tough times is it allows that interaction to allow you to keep going during those tough times, because life can get tough. And so we can't do it by ourselves. If you think you can, best of luck to you. But we're humans. We're social creatures. We're meant to be in groups. We're meant to be around each other. And it goes to the African proverbs that you can go fast by yourself, but if you want to go far, you've got to go together. And so it's the same thing here, that you've got to have that close knit culture, that close knit family that you can lean on. And the beautiful thing when I say family is it's not the family that you're born into, it's the family you get to choose. You decide who's part of this family. Because we know sometimes you're born into family and you may not have the best situation where people support you. You may not have that support system. And so the beautiful thing is you get to pick and choose your family, your secondary family. But you have some people that do have great families that they support them and whatnot. But you got to remember, you've got to create that strong foundation. And it's very tough to do it by yourself. So I highly suggest finding that group, finding the tribe, finding the people to surround yourself with that can help you out and push you to do what you need to. Let's see here. This one, oh man. If you're afraid of loneliness, spend more time alone. And you're like, why, if I'm afraid of loneliness, why would I want to spend more time alone? Well, you know what? That's a fear, and so you've got to dig and find out what's going on that's causing you to be afraid. And being sitting by yourself and embracing loneliness is not an easy thing. I look at my journey when I went through the divorce. I truly love being around people. And when I went through my divorce and everything happened at the beginning, with once it finalized, I hated being by myself. I was like, when I hear people talk, they're like, "Man, I love being single. It's a great thing." I'd look at them, I was like, "No, this is stupid." I'd be like, "No, it's stupid." But as I go through and work on myself, be true to myself, show up as my authentic self, and know who I am, it allows me to show up as my full authentic self to the table in any given situation. And so it's a beautiful thing because you learn how to embrace that thing that you were afraid of, whatever it is. But I find it funny that it's about loneliness and spend more time alone. And so when you hear that, it sometimes sounds like an oxymoron. You're like, this makes no sense whatsoever. But, but sometimes it's that piece of embracing. And I think when we get afraid, we want to try to push it away. We try to not have it close to us. We try to like separate ourselves from it. But as you what you resist is going to grow, and what you resist is going to push back on you harder. And so if there's something going on, don't resist it, embrace it. And so it's kind of the fact of emotions. People are real big on proponents. For guys, we suck with our emotions. And that was one of the things that I had to learn, was embracing the emotions and letting it run its course. But if without personal development, the people that I'm around, that would have never happened. So you can't let the emotions control you, but you got to embrace them and let them know that it's part of being a human. It's part of that growth process, part of that journey, part of the progression piece, and it's just the experience of living. It's the experience of being alive, and you've got to experience it. So we've got to we got to overcome these different thoughts that we've been told. Next one, when we dwell on regret, we make the past our future. Woo, buddy. So this goes hand in hand with just the power of your mind, and it goes with the book I've been reading, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. A book I highly suggest getting, and he had given a story of a lady that her husband had committed suicide, and so she kept living in the past. She had regret. She was angry. She was frustrated, and her health was deteriorating. And so you get prone to embracing, and it's he says it's you become addicted to it. And so um, by having that regret, you bring that past to your future. And so it's one of those things that just the power of your mind, the vibrational piece, the energy piece. It's one of those things that whatever you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on the past and the regret, and you're angry all the time, you're bringing that forward, and that's what your future is going to be. I look at it, once you're able to, you've grown and you've done what you need to, you can go back to the past and look at the situations that used to cause you pain, used to make you angry, and look and say, okay, what lessons are here that during that time, because I wasn't ready, I was in the thick of everything, that I couldn't see it. But once you're at a point where you've grown and you can go back to your past and not get triggered by it, not get upset about it, not get frustrated about it, but actually look and say, what can I learn from this situation? What lessons can I take and bring forward? And so this goes into the piece of the internal work, working on yourself. But it's one of those things that what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on the past situation that happened, maybe you've had failure before in business, maybe you started a business and it didn't work out, and instead of focusing on what went wrong, see what you can learn from and pivot and change to bring forward. Because failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a needed item for growth and progression to take place. And so it's don't focus on the past and regret it, because you're going to bring that forward to your future, and your future is just going to be this vicious mirror that it's like Stranger Things with the upside down, the quantum field, and whatnot. But you could potentially create this future that you don't want by focusing on the past and being angry and regretting it and whatnot. If you worry about what others think of you, you don't think enough of yourself. This Think about that. If you're worried about other people, you're not worried, you're not focusing on yourself. And so by the fact of being mindful and being concerned about other people, you don't know your worth, you don't know your value. And so this is the the aspect of, it's kind of different in regards to don't judge yourself, take the spotlight off of yourself and put it on other people. But if you're worried about what others are thinking of you, then you're missing out on the opportunity to show who you are. Because now you're because you're worried about the judgment piece, you're not showing up as your true self. You're not showing up as your solid self, and you're hiding because you're letting that judgment that you're putting out of what are they thinking of me. You're missing out on the opportunity to show who you truly are, to show the value and the worth that you have. It goes back to the fact that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So quit trying to make everybody love you. Quit trying to have everybody. You want everybody to be your friend. Well, yeah, you want friends and whatnot, but It's one of those things that just show up as yourself. Show up as your true solid self. The people that resonate with you will come and find you. You will find those people. You will attract those individuals. And the people that don't resonate with you, that they just won't show up. They won't be part of your journey. They may be there though, because maybe they'll show up and test you and give you a opportunity to grow and learn, and give you that obstacle that you need to get to the next level. So that's another way to look at it too, and it's a powerful way to look at it, that maybe this person that you're upset with really is there to be be a test for you, to be that obstacle that's going to allow you to grow and progress and get to that next level. But it takes the shift in the mindset on how you view it and how you're looking at this. And so it's that change in thought process and whatnot. Let's see. If you assume someone is perfect, you miss the opportunity to help them out. so, so if you're looking at somebody and you're like, man, they got their whole life together, you don't go talk to them, you miss out on an opportunity of a learning experience for both you and that other person. Because the beautiful thing is, part of education is learning and listening and hearing the experiences of others. Because if you look at a book is a tool that somebody that's gone through some shit can put it in this book format, and you can take it and end up condensing your learning curve and cutting it short by reading and learning from them. But your experience too, you could potentially share something with them because you're looking at it in a different light. You have your different experience than what they've had, and that could be that nugget that maybe they're looking for, maybe they're searching for it. And instead of judging and be like, man, they're all together, they're perfect, even though nobody's perfect, but they have their whole life together. So why would they want to talk to me? Now you're judging yourself again. You're putting the damn spotlight on yourself. Put it on that other person. And so you just never know. So it's taking the shot, taking the opportunity to go and talk to somebody, because you just never know. Maybe their outside world looks like they have everything together, but maybe they're struggling with something that you didn't know. And maybe you've gone through a similar situation and you find out what they're struggling with, and you can share your experience with them, and there could be a nugget that they could extract from that that could really be that catalyst for them to adjust and make the adjustments to go to that next level that they need. You just never know. And so that's the beauty of understanding and looking and saying, man, I've got a message that somebody else needs to hear. And you just never know. Your story will be much happier if the writer likes their protagonist. So you are the author, you're writing your story, and this comes into the play of you've got to accept yourself for who you are. You've got to love yourself for the scars, the flaws, the goofy smiles. If you like making dad jokes and that makes you laugh and nobody else laughs at it, that's cool. But to have a great story, you're writing this story. And so you've got to love yourself for everything, warts and all. And man, that's a beautiful thing, that if you can accept yourself for who you are, you can show up big and loud and proud and do what you need to. And it just goes into the aspect of you never know who hears your story. You never know who's going to be impacted by what you've gone through, the challenges that you've overcome, and you can share with them. That could be that, again, that one nugget that they need. And so it's funny when I look at these different things that, as I'm scrolling through the book, just things that stuck out. And so I think somebody needs to hear. Somebody out there is going through something, building a business. I don't know what it is, but it's being spoken for a reason. I don't know. And so I just show up and do what I normally do. But again, I shared the book, and if you guys are interested, I highly suggest checking this book out. It is a fictional book. It's Harry Potter meets basketball. So it's the wizard world with a sport. But it's the Wizard series training camp. This was created by Kobe Bryant, and just to know his thought process, how he looked at the world and whatnot. Just a lot of great information, a lot of different things that you can take and implement, and just have a big change and whatnot. And so that's just what I wanted to share for the Dreamer Cipher tonight. Of course, like I said, it's every Wednesday. This was being streamed to my Facebook page, to our YouTube channel, and to the Twitch channel for Two Native Sons, and the YouTube channels of the Two Native Sons also. I do want to give a shout out to the community of Twitch. I know Patrick has a lot of great friends that he knows from the Twitch community. They're making that reconnection and just coming and supporting us on the Two Native Sons page and helping us to grow it. I want to thank you guys for your support. Ultimately, it's just knowing that we have the support. It's a great thing because we can't do everything by ourselves. We have to have the support. We have to have those people around us, and it comes back to the fact of we've got to leverage each other. We've got to leverage each other. Everybody that you know, you're being leveraged. You can leverage other individuals. It's not a bad thing. Leverage is not a bad thing. It's a great thing because you have skill sets that you have that they may not have. They may need to leverage it, and then they have skill sets that you may not have, so you may need to leverage that. And it's just a beautiful thing. It's everybody coming together, creating that collaboration piece, that collaboration net, and just working and going and making big changes, impacting the world, and just doing big things. So, again, thank you guys for your supports. Thank you for your time. Share the video. There's individuals that need to hear it so they can extract that one nugget. They decide what that nugget is and walk away with it. But ultimately, the only way this gets out is by sharing it. So share it. Love you guys. Appreciate it. You guys have a great night. I'll catch you guys later. All right. Peace.